Welcome back to Access Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing the walkthrough and review of Magi, episode 23. Now, if you remember from last episode, we find out Judel infiltrates Syndra in order to destroy the barrier which was around the island, and to talk with Sinbad. But moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene inside of the dungeon. Now, if you remember correctly, Zoggin, which is the Dajin of the dungeon that we were introduced to, guess what? He's the fake. He's not the real Dajin. Apparently, the real Dajin Zoggin created this fake in his image with some of his powers, just to put everyone else off for shits and giggles, which is why this guy appeared to be a douchebag to begin with, because he's not a real Dajin. So, yeah, Aladdin, he had a good feeling about this guy being a douchebag. More power to you, man. You were so right. Now, moving on past that, after we find out Morgana defeats this fake Zoggin, we get to see Isnan. Isnan appears inside of the dungeon with two companions, and they're about to take on Alibaba's group. But again, that's where the episode ends, and I'll have my final thought rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. So we open up this scene with Isnan's group, and they attack Alibaba's group in general, so it's like a full-on attack. And apparently Alibaba's curse mark starts to act up, so it's not really looking good for Alibaba right now, because he's trying to take this fight very seriously, but his curse mark that Isnan gave him kind of just snuck up on him, and it's activating, if that makes any sense. Moving on past that, we're going to a different scene with Alibaba and Aladdin, and they're ready to take on Isnan one-on-one, but that's not going to happen because there's three of them, and, you know, technically Alibaba's group is getting a little smaller, and trust me, I'll get to that later on why it's getting smaller. But moving on past that, after we're done with the opening scene, we're taken to a different scene with Morgana, the prince, and that little girl. Now, apparently they're leading the fight up to Alibaba and Aladdin while they head to the treasure room. So that kind of sucks. So now it's going to be a 2-on-3 match between Alibaba and Aladdin versus Isnan and his two companions. Okay, that's fucked up. I mean, don't get me wrong. Aladdin's got a lot of Magio. And, you know, Alibaba, he's come a long way, but I wouldn't bet on them even if it was for my own life. They still don't look that strong in my opinion. Now we are taken to a different scene with some new characters. Yes, Isnan's companions. Now the first one up, her name is Dunya. Now Dunya is a princess from Mastasem. Now Mastasem, we don't really know much about this country, but I'll tell you a little about it later on, so definitely stay tuned for that. Now apparently she can use magic, but we really don't know what kind of magic she can use, but again, I'll get into that later on as well. Now we're introduced to a second character that's also working for Isnan. Now his name is Isaac. Now Isaac is apparently the knight of Donya. So Donya has a bodyguard, which is a knight, and his name is Isaac, and that's all we know about him. We don't know what kind of power he uses. Does he have any unique weapons, really? Not really. He seems like a pretty good swordsman, though. Just putting that out there. Now, we are taken to a different scene with Alibaba, and he knows about where this princess is from. Yeah, her country. She knows, well, he knows everything about her. Well, her country in general. So he's familiar with it. However, it's a really large country that this princess is from, but it's no longer there. Apparently, it fell 10 years ago. I don't really know how to describe it. This princess and her country fell 10 years ago. So her country no longer exists, and it fell to the Magnastad, if that makes any sense. This group or country called Magnastad, they took over this girl's country 10 years ago, so it's no more. Now apparently she has something arranged between the organization and Isnan to reclaim her country, something along those lines. That's the only plausible thing I can think of why she's running with these guys. Other than that, for shits and giggles, got me. Now we are taken to a different scene with Donya, and she asks Alibaba, why is he alive? And I was like, bitch, why the fuck are you alive? Why the hell would you ask someone that question? It makes no sense. But again, Donya is a princess from a fallen country, and Alibaba is a prince from a country that technically didn't fall, but was freed, and then retaken over by the Ku Empire, technically. But you get where I'm going with this. That's why she asked that big question, why are you still alive? Your monarchy is no more. Why are you still alive? I guess that kind of makes sense, but it gets a little better because she does point out to Alibaba, Bolbat is still controlled by the Ku Empire. It may not be destroyed, but guess what? You're still fucked because they control it now and not you. Man, this girl's got one of those bitchy fucking attitudes that just sneak up on you, and I like it. Now, we are taken to a different scene with Donya, and she mentions she will use her dark metal vessel to kill Alibaba. Okay, I'd like to see that. I got front row seats. Let's go. So we're taken to a different scene. Now, it's a WTF scene in my opinion. Yes, a what the fuck scene. Apparently, this princess stabs herself with her spear okay, I love, mutilation and really fucked up scenes in gory anime series, but you just started a fight and you already have stabbed yourself? Okay, I'm interested to know why. Oh, it gets better. She transformed into a black Dajin? Yeah, Alibaba is not taking this very well, because if you remember correctly, Alibaba's childhood friend did the exact same thing to transform into a black Dajin, so he's not taking this very well. So we're taken to a different scene with Donya, and there's a little information that's being tossed right at us. Apparently, Donya can control magnetism and moving sand and minerals at will. I love it when someone says I can control shit at will. It's like, if I say at will, does it mean it's going to be more effective? I think so. So she can use magnetism. Huh. That's interesting. It reminds me of Codebreaker to an extent. Just putting that out there. It's a great anime series, by the way, and I definitely recommend watching it. Now, moving on past that, we do find out Aladdin ends up protecting Alibaba while he's kind of out of it, because he's still thinking about his childhood friend. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, if he doesn't snap out of it, I hope he gets what's coming to him, because you should not be dazed in the middle of a fight. I mean, you're showing your weakest point at the most crucial time. Doesn't make any sense. Come on, snap out of it, man. And eventually, Alibaba does snap out of it, and the others, such as Morgana, the prince, and this little girl, they're heading toward the treasure room, or it looks like they're heading to the treasure room. So we're taken to a different scene with Judel. Yes, back to Syndra. So we see Judel, and he's basically explaining to Sinbad his job was only to take out the barrier around the island, and that was it. He's got no beef with anyone else. Yeah, he was chit-chatting with Sinbad to try to get him back on his side, pull him to the dark side, but that was it. Judel has no affiliation with the organization, just with the Ku Empire. He's fascinated by the Ku Empire. He's like, this is my shit. The Ku Empire is my shit. The organization, go fuck themselves. And then he starts to brag. Yes, Judel basically brags about the Ku Empire having 5 dungeon capturers. I'm like, who the fuck cares? He has 3 princesses and 2 guys. One of them, I believe, is a prince. Now, we already know a couple of them. There's Hakuya, there's Kuguyaku. Obviously, we know Kuguyaku. Kocha, Kome, and Koen. And those are all the dungeon capturers from the Ku Empire. I'm like, that's nice, but you know what? I like Sinbad. He completed 7 dungeons, and he has 8 generals. What does that say about him? And he has a fucking country. Need I say more? Bring on those 5 bitches. Bring them. Can't wait to see it. But again, after Judel's done with his fucking rant about how many dungeon capturers the Ku Empire has, he leaves. He just up and fucking leaves. So we're taken to a different scene with Sinbad, and he puts out a general alert in Syndra, and he summons 8 of his generals, his 8 generals, and he wants to forget about fixing the barrier around the island, but to focus on, attacking the enemy that'll be approaching them. So we're taken to a different scene with Sinbad, and he's basically talking to Yamera to don't fix the barrier. Instead, he wants Yamera to join his combat force instead, and then he wants a direct attack. He wants to fight these organization members that'll be attacking them soon. He's got balls, and I can't wait to see where he's going to go with this. I really can. Now, we are taken to a different scene with Kuguyaku, which is the princess, had a little love interest with Sinbad, and she has an audience with Sinbad, and she points out, apologize for Sinbad. So she's pointing out to Sinbad, whatever Judel's doing, I don't agree with. I apologize on his behalf. I'm apologizing for his shit that he's done. And she still wants to remain on Syndra. But you know what? Sinbad doesn't agree with that. In fact, Sinbad tells Kuguyaku to get the hell off the island. This is not safe. I can't be held responsible for what's going to happen. And Kuguyaku, I'm just going to call her the princess. Fuck her name. This princess basically says, I want to stay by your side. I want to stay here. And Sinbad first tries to give her a way out, but you know what? It's not working, so he says, you can stay as long as you want. I'm like, you don't like this girl. She's fucking showed up out of nowhere, and her bodyguard, whatever, her priest, fucked you over, and you still have a thing for her? You're a Casanova, man. You may not be a perv, like right now, with her, but you're getting there. Just marry her and end it. But sorry, and again, that's where the scene ends, that Casanova scene. So we're taking to a different scene with the organization, and they're about to attack Syndra. Yeah, they appear right in the sea outside of Syndra. Now, we don't know any of the characters, but I can't wait to see what's going to happen. So we're taken back to the dungeon with Isaac, or Isaac, depending on how you want to pronounce his name. I like to call him Isaac. Isaac's a pretty cool name. Reminds me of something from Gundam Seed. But anyways, we open up the scene in the dungeon with Isaac. And Isaac insults Alibaba's swordsmanship. So we see Alibaba versus Isaac. an amazing fight, but you should never tell Alibaba his swordsmanship sucks, because who was his master? Who's on Syndra? If you insult him, you have to insult his master, which means you have to insult other people, so I wouldn't go there. Now, we are taking to a different scene with Aladdin, and he's actually fighting the Black Dajjal, Donya. I definitely thought that was worth mentioning. Now, both Aladdin and Alibaba, they admit to themselves as well as to the audience that Isaac and Donya are badass, they're strong, and they're out of their league. You'll lose your vote of confidence already? Dude, come on. Weaklings. But anyways, they do snap out of this superiority complex they have of not being strong enough, and we're taking to a little cutscene with Alibaba, and he's trying to compress his Magio to control it. And he's on fire. He's definitely onto something, because he's trying to remember what his master said on Syndra about being able to go to the next level, or there's like a way around this. He found it, so he used his his Dajjal weapon equip, and I love it. We get to see it yet again, and it's called Omon's Treasured Sword, and it's kind of badass. And it gets better and better the more it starts to power up. Now, we are taken to a different scene with Aladdin, and he uses a small amount of his Magio to kind of shoot at these Black Dajjal, and it doesn't really look like it's doing much damage, but it is. The build-up was kind of interesting on why he was using it, like these little fucking fireballs. Now, we're taken to a little cutscene with, again, Aladdin and this Black Dajjal, and little by little, he pins down the Black Dajjal. Yeah, those little fire flame, balls of fire he was throwing at this Black Dajjal were just eating away at this Dajjal's, Magio, kind of. Definitely thought that was worth mentioning. I thought, fucking A, man, perfect. Of course, we were taking a little cutscene with Isnan, and he jumps right in. Fucking bastard. That's all I'm going to say about that. He is a bastard. He helps Donya out just when Aladdin was about to end everything. I thought that was fucking stupid. I wanted to see Donya get her ass handed to her, but, Isnan didn't want any part of that, so he jumped in. So we're taking to a different scene with Donya, and she uses full body Dark Dajjal equip, and it looks sexy. She goes from being a monster to back to her human form, and I thought, damn, she looks hot. Urza hot. Just putting that out there. Now, Isaac is he's back. At first, he was defeated by Alibaba, and he's back. I'm like, fucking A. It is creepy. His body parts come back. I'm like, dude, this guy, that doesn't make any sense. He's back. It's just so stupid, and his body parts are reattached. They're taken to a little cutscene with Isaac, and he uses his household vessel, and he's lightning fast. That's all I'm going to say. Fucking lightning fast. And I'm impressed. Like Laxus from Fairy Tail impressed. Yeah. Now, I should also point out the prince returns with Morgana and the little girl. We see the prince. We really don't see the little girl, of course. But we see the prince. He returns. So they didn't really go to the treasure room. Kind of interesting on why. So we're taken to a cutscene with Isnan, and he shows them what's happened to Syndra. So Syndra's being attacked by the organization right now. So Isnan decides, you know what? I'm going to put it up on the wall and show you guys what the fuck's going on. Fucking bastard. He's trying to stall for time. That's all he's doing. So Isnan right now is stalling for fucking time. So we're taking to a little cutscene with Donya, and she uses something called the rhythm, or I should say not rhythm. I want to say rhythm, but it's called the Extreme Magic Ray Boldo. And shit, it's an interesting little technique she's got going. And moving on past that, the fight begins with Syndra, and that's where the episode ends. As for my final thoughts, well, first of all, Syndra, are you guys going to come up on top? Sinbad? We really don't know. And as for these organization members, we still don't know the real identity, anime-wise. I can't wait to find out. Moving on past that, Zagan, when are we going to see you? In the dungeon? I can't wait to see you. I mean, we've seen the fake version of you. I hope you look the exact same way. I mean, it appears that you are going to. But again, I can't wait to find out. And that is it for my final thoughts. As for my rating, 3.5 out of 5. This episode did not wow me. It felt like they were stalling, if that makes any sense. But I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5. Yes, the fight scenes were kind of there. There was a little drama between, the princess and Sinbad. And that was about it. Not a lot of information. New characters, yes. But again, final rating, 3.5 out of 5. And that is it for my walkthrough review of Magi episode 23. But definitely comment down below. Let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely subscribe. Check me out on Twitter and follow me if you like. But let me know what you thought of this episode. And let me know what you think's going to happen in the next episode that's coming out. But again, guys, that ends it for now. And I got to hit the bricks and I got to go. And before I go, I got to say it. And I always say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.